My name is Clara. I am 22 years old. I live in the United States now, but I am not from here. I moved here 1 year ago to study English. I came all by myself. My family is still back in my home country, and I miss them every single day. This morning, I woke up before the sun. I pulled back the curtain and looked outside my window. The sky was a blanket of gray, and a cold chill was in the air. I had a job interview in another city, a place I had never been to before. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. It was my first big interview here, and I absolutely could not be late. I took a quick shower, got dressed in my best clothes, and made a cup of hot tea to calm my nerves. I packed my bag carefully, checking for everything I needed: my phone, my ID, and my train ticket. A glance at the clock told me it was time to leave. I pulled on my warm coat, took a deep breath, and stepped out of my apartment. The walk to the train station was not long. My boots made soft thuds on the damp pavement. The streets were mostly empty, except for a few people waiting silently at a bus stop. No one made eye contact. I kept my head down and picked up my pace. When I arrived at the station, the scene was overwhelming. People rushed everywhere with large bags and cups of coffee. The sound of announcements and rolling suitcases filled the air. My train was scheduled to depart in 20 minutes. I checked my phone. Train number 306, platform 2. I scanned the signs above the crowd. I saw a sign for platform 1 and then one for platform 3. I walked left, then right, but platform 2 was nowhere to be found. My heart began to beat faster. I saw a woman standing near a coffee shop. She had a kind face and didn't seem to be in a hurry. I wanted to ask her for help, but a wave of fear washed over me. What if my accent was too thick? What if I pronounced the words wrong? What if she laughed at me? My English wasn't terrible, but it wasn't fluent either. In that moment, I felt small and powerless, like a child lost in a supermarket. I turned away and continued my frantic search. Finally, I spotted a small sign pointing down a corridor. Platform 2. A wave of relief washed over me. I walked to the platform and waited, my hands growing cold in my coat pockets. I watched the people around me. No one smiled or spoke to each other. Everyone was lost in their own world. The train arrived with a loud hiss. I followed the line of people and boarded, finding an empty seat by the window. I placed my bag on my lap and looked at the electronic screen inside the train. It displayed the names of the stops, but they flashed by so quickly I couldn't read them. The train began to move, and the city blurred into a streak of trees and buildings outside my window. I pulled up the map on my phone. My destination was a stop called Westwood. I had to get off there. I tried to listen to the automated announcements, but the voice was muffled and spoke too fast. I could only catch fragments of words. I desperately wanted to ask the person next to me, "Is Westwood the next stop?" But I couldn't bring myself to speak. The man beside me was typing furiously on his phone, and the woman across the aisle was absorbed in a book. I didn't want to be a bother. So I stayed silent. The train made a stop. I peered out the window, but it wasn't my stop. It started moving again, then stopped once more. Still not Westwood. I stared at the screen, but the name never appeared. Through the window, I saw delicate snowflakes begin to fall. My hands felt like ice. I took a deep, shaky breath. The train stopped again. I looked outside and saw the sign. It read Oak Ridge. My eyes widened in panic. Oak Ridge was 2 stops after Westwood. I had missed my stop. I jumped to my feet and hurried off the train, my body trembling slightly. I felt a strange mix of hot and cold as the sharp wind hit my face. I clutched my coat tightly and looked around the small, deserted station. I found a bench and sat down, my legs feeling weak. I tried to open the map on my phone, but the app wouldn't load. The signal was too weak. I checked the train schedule. The next train back was in 25 minutes. I wanted to cry out of frustration, but I held back the tears. I felt so stupid, so much like a failure. Why couldn't I just ask for help? I was angry at myself, and all I wanted was to go home and hide. Then I heard a soft voice. "Are you okay?" I looked up. A woman with short brown hair and a bright blue coat was standing in front of me. She had a calm, friendly expression. I managed to find my voice. I missed my stop," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Oh no," she said gently. "Where were you headed?" "Westwood," I replied. She smiled warmly. "That's just 2 stops back. You're very close, don't worry." I nodded, looking down at my shoes. "Do you want some help getting back?" she asked. I hesitated for a moment, then looked at her and said, "Yes, thank you." "The next train will be here soon," she said. "You can ride with me. I'll make sure you get off at the right place." I looked at her again, truly seeing her kindness. She wasn't laughing at me. She wasn't speaking too quickly. She made me feel safe. I felt a small shift inside me, a tiny spark of hope. "Thank you," I said again, my voice a little stronger this time. She sat down next to me on the bench. We waited for the train in comfortable silence. Her calm presence was all I needed. The snow continued to fall, but now it looked beautiful instead of bleak. After about 10 minutes, the train arrived. We boarded together and she sat beside me. She kept an eye on the stops for me. This time, looking out the window, I wasn't afraid. I was still nervous about my interview, but I wasn't alone. One stop passed, then another. The train slowed down. "This is Westwood," she said with a smile. I smiled back, feeling immense gratitude. "Thank you so much." "You're welcome," she replied. "Have a wonderful day." I got off the train and walked out of the station. I still had an hour before my interview. I took a deep breath of the cold, crisp air. I had made it, and I was proud of myself. That day, I learned a vital lesson. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to ask for help. People can be kind. I don't have to be perfect, I just have to be brave enough to try. I walked out of the Westwood train station. The snow was falling gently now, dusting the quiet street in a thin layer of white. The buildings seemed taller here, and everything felt new and unfamiliar. I checked the address on my phone one more time. The office for my interview was just a 10-minute walk away. As I walked, my boots crunched softly on the sidewalk. I held my bag close. My hands were still cold, but my heart felt warmer. I thought about the woman on the train. I never got her name, but I knew I would never forget her kind face. She had found me when I felt completely lost and had shown me compassion. One kind person had completely turned my day around. I turned right onto a street with a tall building and a blue sign. This was it. I checked the time again. I was early. I stood outside the main entrance for a moment, taking another deep breath. The nervousness was still there, but now it was mixed with a sense of accomplishment. I was here. I hadn't given up. That was a victory in itself. I walked inside. The lobby was bright and quiet. I saw a small waiting area and sat down in one of the chairs. My heart started to race again. A man sat across from me, reading a magazine, oblivious to my inner turmoil. 10 minutes later, a woman with short black hair and glasses approached me. She smiled and asked, "Are you here for the interview?" I stood up. "Yes," I said. "My name is Clara." "Nice to meet you, Clara," she said. "I'm Emily. Please come with me." I followed her down a hallway, my footsteps echoing softly on the polished floor. We entered a small room with a table and 2 chairs. I sat down, placing my bag on my lap like a shield. Emily sat across from me. "Thank you for coming in today," she said. "Thank you for the opportunity," I replied, my voice quiet but steady. She smiled, which helped put me at ease. "So, let's begin. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?" I took a breath and looked directly at her. She didn't look intimidating. She looked patient. That gave me the courage to speak. "I am originally from Brazil," I began. "I moved to the United States a year ago to improve my English. I am looking for a part-time job where I can work hard and continue to learn." "Have you had a job before?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Back home, I worked in a small retail shop. I helped customers and handled stocking and cleaning." "Good," she said, nodding. "This position is in our warehouse. The main tasks involve packing boxes and some general cleaning. It's part-time, 3 days a week." "Yes, that sounds perfect for me," I said. She glanced down at a paper on the table. "The role requires some lifting. Are you able to lift boxes that might be heavy?" "Yes, I can do that," I confirmed. She smiled again. "Do you speak any Spanish?" "No," I admitted. "Only English and Portuguese." "That's perfectly fine," she said. "English is all that's required for this job." I felt a wave of relief. Her voice was calm, and she spoke clearly. With each question I answered, I felt my confidence grow. Then she asked, "Do you have any questions for me?" I paused. I wanted to ask about the start time, but that old fear crept back in. What if it was a stupid question? What if I phrased it incorrectly? But this time, something was different. I pushed the fear aside and spoke. "What are the work hours?" I asked. She smiled. "That's a great question. The shift starts at 9:00 a.m. and ends at 1:00 p.m. I nodded. "Thank you." We talked for a few more minutes, and then she stood up. "Thank you, Clara. We will be in touch within a few days." "Okay, thank you for your time," I said as I stood up as well. She walked me back to the lobby. I said goodbye and stepped back out into the cold. The snow had stopped falling. The street looked the same, but I felt completely different. I walked back to the train station with a lightness in my step. I didn't know if I would get the job, but it didn't matter as much as I thought it would. I had faced my fears. I had found my way. I had spoken English in a professional setting. I had even asked a question. I had done it. At the station, I sat on a bench waiting for my train home. I watched the people around me, a mother with her young child, a man sipping his coffee. They all seemed so confident, so at ease. Maybe one day I would feel that way too. The train arrived. I got on and found a seat by the window. This time, there was no fear. I watched the names of the stops appear on the screen, reading each one clearly. I knew exactly where I was going. At one of the stops, a young girl got on. She looked about my age and was clutching a map, her expression a mixture of confusion and anxiety. She kept looking from the map to the screen, clearly lost. She reminded me so much of myself that morning. She took a seat across from me and offered a hesitant smile. I smiled back. Then I heard myself ask, "Do you need some help?" She looked up, surprised and relieved. "Yes," she said. "I'm trying to get to Westbrook. Is this the right train?" I nodded. "Yes, it is. I can let you know when we're getting close." The tension in her shoulders visibly relaxed. "Thank you so much," she said. "You're welcome," I replied, my voice calm and assured. We rode together for a few stops. When her stop was next, I told her. She thanked me again before she got off. I sat back in my seat and looked out the window. A quiet pride swelled in my chest. Today, I was the one who offered help. I had used my voice to comfort someone else. I remembered the feeling of being scared and alone, and now I was the one providing reassurance. The train was moving forward, and so was I. 2 days later, my phone rang with an unknown number. My stomach did a little flip as I answered. "Hello." "Hi, is this Clara?" a familiar voice asked. "This is Emily from the warehouse. We spoke on Monday." "Yes, hello." "I'm calling to offer you the position. Would you be able to start next Monday?" I was speechless for a second. I was so surprised. I hadn't truly believed I would get it. "Yes," I managed to say. "Yes, thank you so much." "You're welcome," she said. "Please arrive at 8:45 on your first day. I'll meet you at the entrance." "It's okay, I will be there." After we said goodbye, I hung up the phone and broke into a huge smile. My heart felt like it could burst. I had a job. It was just part-time, but it was a start. A real start. I could earn money, meet new people, and practice my English every day. I immediately sent a message to my mother back home. "I got the job. I will call you tomorrow." A few minutes later, her reply came through. "I am so proud of you, my dear. I always knew you could do it." Reading her words brought tears to my eyes, but they were happy tears. I missed her voice terribly, but her message was a warm embrace from across the oceans. On Monday morning, I woke up early, feeling excited. I took the train, watching each stop with confidence. I didn't miss it this time. I arrived at the warehouse, and Emily was there to greet me with a smile. She introduced me to my coworkers, Ben and Sarah, who were both friendly and welcoming. My job was to check boxes and sort them. It was simple work, but I did it carefully. At lunch, we all sat together in the break room. Ben talked about movies he had seen, and Sarah showed me pictures of her dog. I mostly listened, but I joined the conversation a few times. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was part of something. As the weeks went by, my confidence grew. I learned new words and phrases. I started to speak more freely, without the constant fear of making a mistake. One day after work, Sarah turned to me and said, "You know, your English has gotten so much better." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. "Thank you, I'm trying really hard." "Well, you're doing great," she said. That one small compliment meant the world to me. One Saturday, I found myself back at that same train station where my journey had started. I stood looking at the large map on the wall. The station no longer seemed scary or confusing. It was just a place. Then I saw her, a young woman, staring at her phone with a lost expression, trying to figure out which platform to go to. I walked over to her without a second thought. "Do you need help?" I asked. She looked up, surprised. "Yes," she said. "I don't know where to go." I smiled. "Let me help you." We walked together as I pointed her to the right platform. She thanked me over and over. "It's okay," I said. "I was just like you not long ago." She looked at me, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. "Really?" "Yes," I said. "You're doing great." She smiled, a real, genuine smile. I smiled back. Then we both went our separate ways, catching our trains. That moment stayed with me. I knew exactly how she felt, the fear, the uncertainty. But I also knew that, just like me, she would be okay.